All right, everyone, back again. Same day, right? I look exactly the same as the last video. That's because it's not a month away. Trying to catch up and get you guys caught up. I'll remind you again, please come pick up your wines because there are a lot of pickups that need to be picked up. You can come any time of day. Just give us a heads up if you're going to be here like from 10 a.m. all the way to service time. Coming in during service is fine. Just know that you might have to wait just a little bit, but we would love to give you a little glass of bubbles and maybe even a little amuse-bouche or something like that. But we want to get started right away, so let's dig into a very cool, we started out with a Sauvignon Blanc from Napa, right, on the last one. We kind of thought it'd be fun to give you something this month that was completely different and yet from the same area. This is Stone Street, Aurora Point Vineyard, so vineyard designated. This is from Alexander Valley, which is up north and a little bit more towards the coast to Napa. A little bit cooler temperatures in the Sonoma County area. Altitude of 900 feet, so not super high, but not also sea level. And this is a very fun wine. This is a wine that came into us from a good friend of mine who is a wine purveyor, and really kind of fell in love with the idea of what this was and the clarity of the varietal of a Sauvignon Blanc. This is very, very expressive, even more expressive than the tilth that you'll have from the previous month. This is just bursting with, you know, like the bitter grapefruit kind of zest. Definitely layers and layers and layers of florality in this. It's a fun wine to smell. Pick it out and let us know. To me, there's a little bit of like graphite, like gunpowder, like some of those kind of, I guess you would call them, I'm trying to remember the term that everyone uses. I'll think about it later, but nonetheless, very flinty, very reserved in its minerality approach. It is absolutely stunning, delicious, super floral, wonderful bright tones of yellow and orange acidity. Long lived on the finish. It really kind of carries through. This is not a rich style of Sauvignon Blanc, but also not the super crisp, clean, easy to drink Sauvignon Blanc. This has some structure to it. It has some body and depth, which I think is really nice when you're talking about Sauvignon Blanc. That's why I love Sauvignon Blanc from, you know, the far eastern parts of the Loire Valley and in Bordeaux and France, because they're a little more structured and bold in their approach. So fantastic wine, vineyard designated. This is very high end for our wine club here, but we just thought it was kind of a cool wine and wanted you to see the representation of tilth last month, and then the Stone Street Aurora Point Vineyard this month. Would definitely pair something with this that had some sort of like boldness to it, like big bright acidity to match this acidity, or something very buttery and rich to kind of like tame the acidity. So depending on what you want, you could definitely go like a nice ceviche with some green like salsa verde or some pickled jalapeno or something like that in there. I think you could take some heat. The acidity is high, the tannins aren't high, and that's usually what, for me at least, tends to really mess with food and wine pairings, is when the tannins are real high and it does not like spice at all. That being said, sometimes high acidity can push capsaicin to be higher levels. I don't think this will do that. I think this will be really yummy with like a ceviche with, like I said, salsa verde on the bottom or some sort of green sauce. And then some toast points, maybe put some grill on it so that you get that little bit of interaction with the grilled toast points with the light regimen that goes on in this wine. Very yummy, very excited for you to try it. Now, we know this is a small bottle, so we're gonna put 2 in your wine pack. This is a natural cider from Normandy, France. It says it's handcrafted with love. Maison Hero has been at the heart of cider making for, you know, quite a long time. It's talking right here. It's unpasteurized, no sugar added. Normandy, in that area of France, Brittany and Normandy, and then the Basque area, the northern area, coastal-wise of Spain, are where cider really kind of like took off, and they are known for having the best cider cultures. I've been there. I can agree with you. This is a wine importer that just really loved this wine, and it's a 330 ml bottle, so you get 2 of them, which means you get 760, which is 10 milliliters over a bottle. So be excited about that. You can see the amber rich gold color. Really beautiful. Ciders are very pale usually, so this has a lot of depth of color. Oh, I mean, when you think about what like the best crisp, beautiful apple tastes and smells like when you bite into it, that's exactly what this is. So fresh. Really beautiful. This is all native yeast. This is all native everything. They don't play with anything. This is 100% pure fermented apple juice. They don't add anything to it. So, man, it's just so yummy. It just grabs your palate. It is zero sweetness, but yet the fruit forwardness of the cider will make anyone love this. It's lovely effervescence, not super bubbly, but also not flat. It's like that perfect middle ground that I think is just really fun for ciders. I want this with braised pork belly or some sort of pork dish. I don't know if it's just the apple and pork combination that my brain is thinking about, but I just had a sip of this cider, and I'm thinking right away, we have braised pork belly on the menu right now. This would be so good with that. That nice bright appley acidity that I think would just sing with some fat, some richness. So get yourself some pork belly. Smoked pork belly I think would be fantastic if you're a smoker kind of person. I would definitely put some sort of smoke together with this, and I think it would be fantastic. The flavor is still lingering in my mouth. It's such a long finishing cider. It's really fun. Really fun. So welcome to more Cider Town. We're going to start including some things like that because we think it's fun. Let us know what you think. Do you like getting different kind of stuff like that, or would you prefer to stick with more traditional wines? Let us know. Next up is one that we just got done using. No, we're still using this right now, this month. This is Malacactor. So this is a Tempranillo from Ribera del Duero, which is cooler than the Rioja region of Spain, which is usually a little higher alcohol, richer, bolder wines, but not on the coast either. So this is like right in the middle age. This is a 12-month barrel-aged Tempranillo, 2019, so very fresh Tempranillo. It's not super aged. And Ribera del Duero is probably home to most of the most famous houses in Spain. People think Rioja right away, or Priorat or something like that. But to be honest, like Pingus and oh man, I'm drawing a blank here in front of you guys. It always embarrasses me. But there are the most Vega Sicilia, the most famous producers of Tempranillo, all sit in Ribera del Duero. So kind of a cool thing to be able to share this with you. This is a strikingly delicious wine. People have been literally so excited about this wine. They think Tempranillo, they instantly have an idea of what they think that is in their head, and this just doesn't give them that. It gives them a reserved, really beautiful, elegantly balanced red wine. So for me, there's that little bit of like cherry Twizzler smell to it. It's not on the palate, which sometimes I don't like when it's in the palate, but this isn't, but it's on the nose. It's very Tempranillo. You know that this is what you're drinking. If you're a wine person and you've had a lot of Tempranillo, you'll know this right away. It has that iconic smell of Tempranillo, the red fruitedness, the leathery kind of quality. I mean, you can just drink this, once again, grab a bottle, sit next to a campfire, and drink this Tempranillo. It's just so well balanced. The tannins are just there enough to really give you grip in the palate, so this holds onto your palate. It gives you something to think about, but yet still well balanced with beautiful fruit qualities, definitely red fruited qualities. Little flecks of green kind of tones to me. I see this, right now we're doing it with a clay pot dish. Weird, I understand that, but clay pot being so soy, umami, rich kind of flavor profiles finds a really wonderful home in Tempranillo. So I would say do like some very soy heavy kind of Asian inspired chicken with rice and then vegetables and maybe some mushrooms in there to reach into that earthiness that this wine has. But I really love this pairing. It's one of my favorites on the current menu because Tempranillo and clay pot doesn't seem like it would go together until you drink this wine with a tamari or soy or shoyu base, and it just really gravitates towards those kind of unctuous, savory qualities that people know as umami. I think Tempranillo actually has umami to it. I think it's kind of fun. So braise some chicken and some soy, you know, with other things, and then with some rice and vegetables, including some mushrooms. And I think you're going to have a dish that makes people think that you're some sort of awesome sommelier. I'm not either, but you know what? Who cares? If we can fake it, we can make it. I realized that we're going to need to go back to the sparkling wine that we chose for this because I missed it first, but nonetheless, moving to the next red wine. We've kind of got a little red heavy on this one because it's getting colder and people love to drink red wine when it's cooler. So here we have a Sangiovese, a Romagna Sangiovese. This is Modigliana Riserva DOC. So this is kind of in between Emilia-Romagna on the coast and then Tuscany more on the inland that then heads out to the other western coast. But this kind of sits in there. It's a DOC, meaning that it's the next to the highest level of quality in Italy. DOC, DOCG being the highest quality level, or you know, the most sought after wine, the smallest amount of area that produces a specific wine, like Brunello di Montalcino is a DOCG inside of Chianti Classico, which is DOC inside of Chianti, which doesn't have its designation like that. So this was a wine that came in earlier. I purchased it before I even knew what I was going to do with it, and then I paired it with a dish. We talked about pork belly, and I'll probably talk about it again because the dish that we're pairing with this actually is pork belly. That's because this wine has a beautiful amount of acidity to it. I love this wine. It's very fun, very interesting, and when I had it, I had the next version down, the entry-level wine, and it was very good, but I asked them, do you have like a higher end of this? And they did, and I was really happy that I asked that question because this wine has become something very special, very interesting, and oftentimes Sangiovese for me can be very kind of run-of-the-mill, to be honest, and that's just my personal opinion, but I don't love a whole lot of Sangioveses. And for a long time, I'm sure you know that Chianti, you know, was bottled in, you know, like a larger format bottle with a wicker kind of wrap around it, and it was just known as like cheap table wine. And Italy has really proven itself to be one of the wonderful places for wine in the world, and this wine really kind of shows that. Ai Provi is the maker. You get that anisey, kind of richer, darker quality of fruit than the Tempranillo. This definitely speaks to a greener format. But it just reserves itself so well, if that makes sense to you. You drink it, and it doesn't just instantly smash your palate. It gives you time to think about what you're drinking, and then it hits you with complexity on the mid palate and richness on the mid palate. Then it finishes with like a little bit bigger tannins than you're probably used to with the Sangiovese. The acidity balances that out really well, so it's not like this super grippy wine that kind of like takes your palate and runs with it. It lets you really kind of enjoy the wine as you're drinking it. It's very fun wine. I love wines that are fun, and this is definitely that. We pair this with a preserved lemon and parsnip puree, some kale puree, and then a induja, which is a spicy sausage made in the Sicily area of Italy, Calabrian area of Italy, excuse me, and then we have that beautiful pork belly. And the pork belly is one of those things that has a high fat content to it. It's rich, and this beautiful acidity just cuts right through that richness. The green notes that I was talking about early really follow into this wine. The wine just finds a home in the kale and in the Brussels sprouts, which is really fun. Very fun wine. We'd love to know what you think about this. All certified organic, everything done very in a natural kind of process, but just delicious, fun wine that I think is really, really interesting and very different. So I hope you enjoy that wine. Now the last red wine before we go back to the sparkling. And I'm gonna do something I've never done on a video. Hey Wyman, can we get the Digby back here, please? You stole it from me. He didn't steal it. I think I gave it away. The last red wine of the lineup is going to be from one of the most iconic producers in all of France. This is a Bordeaux house. Thank you so much, my friend. An entry-level wine from Chateau Lafleur. They are known all across the world as making some of the best Merlots that come out of Bordeaux. This is their Chateau Grand Village, 2019. It's a younger red wine. It can definitely age for a very long amount of time, so I would highly suggest really kind of letting this sit for some amount of time. If you can, if you're on a 12-pack order, drink one now because it's delicious right now. And sit on one for as long as you can before you say, hey, I want to crack this open. But remember that you're drinking Lafleur. This is a very iconic winemaker from Bordeaux. We don't do a whole lot of Bordeaux in Localis, so it was kind of nice to be able to put this on the menu and have people taste something. This is paired with lamb, barbecue potato pave, and a cola, Cascara cola from our buddy over at Burley Beverages. Demi-glace. So you have the main flavor profiles of lamb, barbecue, and cola. On the nose, tell me what you think that I'm smelling here, because this is why that dish was written for this wine. Definitely cola. Green coffee beans. Barbecue is an easy marker for me on this, like barbecue sauce, similar. And then, of course, some sort of gamey, rich, meat, like lamb. So kind of a fun pairing. Do that pairing. Barbecued lamb, reduce some cola products and mount it with a little bit of butter and salt and acidity, like a red wine vinegar. Make yourself a nice sauce and spoon it over. I think you'll be in heaven. On the nose, this is everything that you want out of a Bordeaux wine that's Merlot-based versus Cabernet-based on the other side of the banks. So decadent and rich, big, but not beat you over the head big. Oak in all the right ways, not aggressively oaked. Still, the wine is speaking for itself. Light notes of, kind of like the baking spices and the vanilla and kind of those flavors of French oak are found in this wine, but nowhere near in a prevalent manner. It's just delicious. It's a big red wine. And once again, you guys know me well enough now to know that I'm not a huge, massive red wine drinker. But this just has the finesse and the beauty of that Merlot from that area of the world by this producer. It's extremely delicious and wants a big, bold dish to go with it. That being said, let's freshen up our palates. Let's have some sparkling wine from an area of the world that is becoming more and more well-known for sparkling wine, which is England. This is Digby Fine English Sparkling Wine. It's a non-vintage brut, meaning dry. It's a pretty much equal parts blend of Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. Little bit high on the Pinot Noir, everything else in tandem. This just is one of those things that we're pairing with sushi right now. We have a course called Sushi with Dad, based on Athena, one of our chefs here. And it is so well balanced and so approachable to so many different bigger flavors that it's a very fun wine to pair with. In fact, I would highly suggest pairing this with sushi. Some spicy sauces on there, beautiful rice with that high acidity vinaigrette that you put on it, the umami richness of nori. And then clean fish. I just think this wine is calling out for all of that. It doesn't smell toasty, rich, malolactic heavy, like buttery. It doesn't really have those notes. It's got fresh fruit quality, apple and pear. Very fun wine. I love this wine. It's got good acidity, but not crazy high. Sometimes the grower maker style of champagne from Champagne can be really high acid, like just rip your mouth off acidity. For certain applications and for certain people's palates, I'm sure that's fantastic. For me, I like a little more balance. I don't like super rich, buttery styles of champagne. And I don't like champagne that has so much acidity that you don't really get to taste anything else of the wine. This Digby really allows you to taste a lot of the three varietals that are in here in unique ways. The Pinot Noir having this beautiful fruit forwardness, the Chardonnay adding that kind of like mid-palate structure, and the Pinot Meunier adding that beautiful bright kind of like acidity fruit quality that I think is just really well balanced. It's a fun wine, and if you've never had English sparkling wine, now you have. All English sparkling wine is expensive. You don't really get like bargain versions or approachable versions as far as like, you can still find great sparkling wines from all over the world for fairly cheap. English sparkling wine, I think because the island is so small and land is so expensive, it's kind of like France where, if you only have so many hectares that you can possibly grow on, the wine from those hectares is going to be expensive. I stick by the idea of a great sushi roll with this, or a sushi dinner. Nigiri, soy, ginger, all those kind of flavor profiles I think would go absolutely well with this. And that being said, we're wrapping up this next month. Next month, we're very excited to get you guys another 6 bottles of wine that you probably never had. And please come pick up your packages. We'd love to see you, say hi, and once again, throw us some feedback down here. Let us know what you're thinking. If you love some of the wines, maybe some of the wines that you wouldn't order again, how we could do things differently, things that you'd love to ask, questions about any of these wines that we can do a little research for you if you don't want to do it yourself. We're just interested in hearing what you have to say. Have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy this autumn weather.